Hey, you guys, I am so sorry. The gentleman who helped me get over here, I think he's gone already, but we had a little elevator issue. It was certainly not for lack of trying. Thank you, first of all, for lowering your standards enough to come listen to me. Yeah. This is such an incredible pleasure. Hello, DragonCon!
Yeah!
I am so profoundly grateful to be here. I think this is my 4th time at DragonCon, and I'm always just thrilled beyond belief that you folks would invite me back. So thank you, and I will defer to you, sweetie, if you want to, however you want to handle this. This is their time, and I want to do whatever is most expedient and interesting for you guys, and the last thing I want to do specifically is be boring. So if whatever is the best way for those folks to enjoy it, let's light this candle.
Okay. Well, let's where's my awesome microphone? Let's just go ahead and jump right into Q&A.
Okay, great. Oh, good. Okay.
If you guys want to come over here and kind of line up, that would be great.
Oh, cool. Okay, we'll just line up. In the meantime, hi, darling. Nice to see you, sweetie. Hello, nurse. I mean, really, nurse. Yeah, you're just gorgeous. Hello, uh-oh. You've got the 3 of us in a net. Then you caught it, and you got me by my neck. And you're kissing my ear. Oh, my God, this is getting better and better. All right. How you doing, sir?
Hey, doing great, Rob. I have a question and a request.
Okay.
My request, which I'll do first, is my 14-year-old kid who just turned 14 a couple days ago could not come to DragonCon this year. Well, he didn't make good grades all year. So.
There you go.
He made a deal.
So the old man is here.
We made a deal.
Good for you.
Live up to it.
Yeah.
But he is a very aspiring voice actor, wants to get into it.
Okay.
And
I'm a perspiring voice actor. So there's that.
He's 14.
Oh, good. Okay.
He is 2.
Okay.
And basically, since he couldn't come to DragonCon, he wrote a letter and asked if I could give it to you.
Oh, of course you may. Absolutely, yeah, sure. That's very sweet. Your son doesn't work for the IRS, does he? Thank you very much. Do you also have a question?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your question?
Well, if you could give any advice for such a burgeoning young voice actor, or even the old man who might want to get into it, what advice would you have?
Thank you. And what is your boy's name?
Dean.
Dean, what is your name?
Paul.
Hi, Paul. The best advice I can give is to learn to act. It's called voice acting for a reason. And the reason you like the characters I've done and the characters that have done and lasted for years and years of my peers is because we all have a performance background. Whether it's stand-up, in my case it was music and I became an actor. Tress McNeil did improv. And even people who came to LA to do voice work. I moved to LA many years ago primarily to do live action stuff, and then found my way into voice work, and it's turned out to be a great move. But it's still about acting. The reason that characters like Pinky and the Brain, or Bugs and Daffy, or Bart and Homer, or Rick and Morty, the reason they continue to do well and will stick around is because they're well performed, well executed, great scripts to be sure. But all of us approach the acting part of it very seriously. And that doesn't mean you take yourself seriously. It means that you work on your acting chops. Now, that's for people who do it for a living. And I went from Michigan to California many, many years ago because that's where I had to go. However, you can still perform and sing and work on improv for the noblest of reasons, which is because it makes your soul happy and it makes people around you happy. Look at all these lovely folks here. This is just an absolutely joyful thing for me. And all I have to do is say, "Narf." How lucky am I? You know, and the point I'm making is that I never started to perform thinking I'd make money down the road. Obviously I have to. I've been rich and poor, and rich is better. But when I started at 17 or 15 or whatever. It wasn't, I did voices, I sang, I found my way into theater, I joined a theater company and went on the road. I learned to read music, all of which, surprisingly, put me in great shape when Animaniacs came along and Ninja Turtles came along and Jimmy Neutron came along, because the old adage about luck is when preparation meets opportunity is really true. So I would suggest to you or anybody else or your boy that you start to perform and do things because it inspires you and makes you happy. If it turns out that you get paid for it, great. But that is not the driving reason that any of us started. And to this day, I am driven by an incredible Jones to perform. I don't make money if I put that first in my life. There are people who do. There are people who just say, I want to make a shitload of money, and they know how to do it. I make money if I follow my passion. I make money if I'm true to what I love to do for the sake of doing it. And then it all falls into place. And I think most performers are in that circumstance. So that's what I would say, is to follow your passion and have your boy just do the, first get good grades, and then make sure that that you guys can do it together. You can record stuff together on your iPhone and put it out on YouTube or whatever. You have so many opportunities now, but mainly because it makes you happy. So have fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Next question.
Hey, Rob, big fan since the Animaniacs days. I actually just wanted to compliment you on the wonderful job you did on the cover. Was the song "Don't Pull Your Love"?
Oh, bless your heart.
For
You
Batman,
mean in the Batman
Harley Quinn movie, yeah.
God, what's your name?
Dang, that was the best part of the whole
Well,
movie.
thank you. For those of you who don't know, there's a recent Batman movie that came out on DVD called Batman and Harley Quinn. And in the movie, there's a scene like a karaoke bar or something where a lot of the bad guys who have been in Batman's life go to hang out, right? And there are two twins. What are they called? Min and Max?
I forget, but they worked with Harvey Dent.
Okay, they work for Harvey Dent. They're two twins. And in the movie, they sing a song that was a big hit when I was a kid by a group called Hamilton, Joe, Frank, and Reynolds called Don't Pull Your Love Out. And it goes, don't pull your love out on me, baby. If you do, then I think that maybe I'll just lay me down, right? And so I sang it. And that damn song has gotten like 150,000 views on YouTube. So thank you very much. I started as a singer. That was my first professional gig, and that's what still makes me happiest, is singing. And so Bruce Timm said, hey man, we're doing this thing, and you want to sing this song? And it turned out nice, so thank you very much. And you can look it up on YouTube. So you look up Rob Paulsen, Harley Quinn, and it's, yeah. Thank you. You have good taste. Thank you, buddy.
Hi, Rob. This is Brandon. I just want to say I've been a fan of your work since Arthur from The Tick, and that's one of the reasons why me and my dad came down, because we absolutely love you.
Well, bless your heart.
Because that's one of the things that's, you are one of the people that really has also inspired me to also become a voice actor as well.
Good for you,
and
Brandon.
I actually do want to ask like an interesting kind of question. If they were to announce a new Tick cartoon series, would you reprise your role as the voice of Arthur, or would you let someone else take a shot at it?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for thinking that I have that kind of power. There is a brand new one on Amazon, live action, which I've heard is really good. And Ben Edlund, who created The Tick, is a good friend. And I saw him at Comic-Con in San Diego this year. And Townsend Coleman and I were sitting together signing autographs at a big Tick thing. He was the Tick and I was Arthur in that show, as you recall. And so Ben was there and mentioned that he was very excited about the new live-action Tick on Amazon, and he thought that there might be a possibility of doing an animated version as well. If Ben were to call me and say, do you want to do Arthur again? Oh my God, of course, in a heartbeat. But I have no power or sway over producers in terms of whether or not they consider me. It's their money and their dime, but I appreciate the fact that you feel that I could. It's very nice of you. And I would, in a heartbeat. That's a very smart show. Yeah. Very smart. And I love doing it. Thank you.
What do you get at the end?
Hello, Mr. Donatello, sir.
Hi, buddy. How you doing?
I love your pizza.
Thank you very much.
My question for you is, narf, 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 egad, zoink, zoink, narf, narf, egad, zoink.
And to that I say, what? Thank you. A very articulate young man.
My name's Chris.
Hi, Chris.
What's your least favorite thing that you've worked on?
Laying sod in summer. Oh, you mean as an actor? Oh. No, boy, that's a tough call. And the reason I say that is because obviously there are certain things that have become more popular and more important to me in my career and fans. But listen, if I take somebody's money and I go to work and they're kind enough to hire me, it's pretty difficult to say this is my least favorite job. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm an actor. I chose to do this. Nobody shoved a gun in my mouth to be an actor. So when I feel sorry for myself, I do it for about 32 seconds and then say, you know, you can always go get a real job and see what that's like. So shut up. So by that, I don't know that there's a job that I didn't like because I chose to be in that position. I auditioned for it, and then somebody gave me a lot of money to do it. There are certainly shows that probably weren't as much fun as others, but that's usually as a result of the other actors with whom I get to work. I mean, there was never a bad day on Animaniacs or Pinky and the Brain or Ninja Turtles or The Tick or Jimmy Neutron, just great actors. And it turns out that they're all really great shows. But there are other shows I did that weren't really successful, but they were incredible amount of fun, like Mighty Max, had Tim Curry, myself, Tim Curry, Richard Mall, and Tony Jay. Are you kidding me? We did 3 series of that. The Mask. I got to be Jim Carrey for a whole lot less money. But man, I got to sing the Mask theme song and bounce off the walls every day, and that wasn't terribly successful. Tasmania was a great show. Myself, Maurice LaMarche, Debbie Derryberry, Miriam Flynn, Dan Castellaneta, who is Homer. Incredible group of actors but they just weren't that successful. So it's a tough call to decide which was a least favorite. I don't really know of anything that was not enjoyable at the time. There are many that have not done well, but that is not as a result of somebody trying to make a piece of junk. It's very expensive to make a show, and even if they go right down the flusher, it's still a lot of money that was spent on them. So I'm not trying to be coy. I don't know how to answer your question because they were all a blast for me to do, and I went after them. I auditioned for them, right? And sometimes I had to go, like Animaniacs, 6 or 7 callbacks before I got the job. So if I'm willing to put myself through that, once I get the job and then get a check, it's difficult to call it a bad experience. So, as the saying says, no bad days. Certainly, when I'm getting paid to do what I would do for free, it's a gift. So, thank you for asking. Appreciate it. I hope someday you're able to do a job that you would do for free and people pay you. It's a great way to move through life. Hello, nurse. Hello. And by the way, how sweet is this? This is the kind of stuff I talk about, you guys. How lovely are you people? Because the folks standing in the aisle would block the view, they're all deferential and are willing to be on their knees to ask the question. Thank you so much. You're so kind. Thank you. Well, what's your question?
My question is, who is your favorite character out of all the animated cartoon stuff that you have ever done?
The next one. Because that means I'm working. Honestly, that's a good question. I know that the pat answer is, like I just said to the young man earlier, it's difficult to pick because they mean a lot to me. I suppose if I had to decide, if there was one, somebody said they were going to put a gun to your head, you got to decide, I would probably say Pinky, because I love that relationship between Pinky and the Brain. It's very sweet. And it's funny, it's touching, it's disconcerting, when the brain yells at Pinky, you know. But ultimately, it's really entertaining, and it brings a lot of joy to people. But so do Yakko, Wacko, and Dot, you know. So I love Animaniacs because, as I said, I'm primarily a singer, and I got to sing a lot of great songs on that show. But Pinky and the Brain is great because Maurice is, like Tress and Jess, incredibly gifted, but the relationship between Pinky and the Brain is timeless. And I love, it happens on many shows, but for some reason more with Pinky and the Brain. I've met so many people around the world, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity. But like I was in Dallas at the New Year's Eve this year, and Maurice and I and Tress and Jess, all the Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain were both there. It was fantastic. But there was a young man who stood in line, big, badass, tatted out guy, long hair, and it turns out he was an ex-Marine. And so the guy's waiting in line, you know, like everybody does, very patient. I'm talking to people, and he comes up, and I said, "Hey, Dad, how are you, a big fellow?" You know? And I mean, immediately, he started crying.
Aww.
And I just said, "Oh God, I'm sorry, no, man. I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry, sir." I said, "No. It's just, man, I've done 3 tours in Afghanistan, and I take them DVDs, and me and my buddies, we watch them back there, man, and you just don't know what that means to me." And he just could not get his, this guy is protecting us, right? And so when I see that kind of reaction, it blew my mind. And all he could do was apologize because he was crying. And so to know that, man, I don't draw them, I don't write them, I'm just the actor. But I'm fortunately the one who gets that kind of feedback. And so when I now know that people are affected in a circumstance that is the most desperate time of their life, people are shooting at him. And he takes the time to tell me how much Pinky and the Brain means to him. I mean, how can I quantify that? It's incredible. So when I get to see that, it's a remarkable thing, and it's not lost on me. So that is a big part of it. Thank you for asking. So sweet.
Hi.
I met you and your family yesterday, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Thank you.
Growing up, me and my dad, my sister, we watched Jimmy Neutron and
Oh yeah, you're smart.
Animaniacs, and you are one of the many people who, with myself, I love to do voices, and watching you do Pinky and Yakko, I just like. And then watching it, I would like try to mimic and see how good I could do of your voices.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing to watch.
Thank
and my question is, do you have any advice for me, since I want to be a cartoon voice actor like you?
Well, I think, like I said a bit earlier, that how old are you, my friend?
15.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. First of all, you're too good looking. I hate that. But also, you express yourself well. You're a very articulate young fellow, and you are exactly the way I was when I was 15. And by that I mean I was exploring all kinds of stuff. I was absolutely blown away by Jonathan Winters and Carol Burnett and people, Lucille Ball and Monty Python and all these actors who would just really affect me on a deep level, both humorously and sometimes emotionally. And I love that feeling. I don't know really, couldn't quite put my finger on it, but I know, and I'm grateful, that the effect I have on you now, when I start to do this and say, "Hello, handsome blonde guy," I am in such a grateful position because I know that feeling. And I used to have it when I would see Mel Blanc come out on The Tonight Show and say, "Hey, what's up, Doc?" It just blew my mind, you know? And so you're in a great spot. You're young enough. You don't have any huge responsibilities, save for, you know, school and being a good kid and all that. But that's the time when I started singing, and I started getting involved in theater, and I started getting involved in improv. And improv is a great skill to cultivate because it allows you to think on your feet, and you never know, irrespective of whether you become an actor, the opportunity to come and speak to a group of people extemporaneously, which means off the cuff without a script, The improv teaches you that skill. And if you can start to do that when you're 15, regardless of whether you make a living as an actor, you will explore the creative side of you, which makes you more interesting. It makes you, I submit, happier because you can be creative on the spur of the moment. And this is exactly when you should be doing it. And if you decide you want to pursue it and want to do it for a living, then when you're in your 20s, you may say, I'm going to move to LA, or I'm going to move to New York. Your parents may not like it, but they're probably going to suggest that you follow your passion. Maybe after college, all of that. But you may decide when you go to college that you want to study theater, or you want to study music. This is the time for you to start playing. And that's exactly what I did. It's what Maurice did. It's what Tress did. When I met Tress, she was a cocktail waitress at a club in Marina Del Rey. And then she got involved with the Groundlings in Hollywood with Phil Hartman and John Paragon and Cassandra Peterson, who's Elvira, and Paul Rubens, who is Pee Wee Herman. And they were all in the same group. And they started just like you did, just like you. And then they got together, and now they're legendary. But they're also old enough to be your grandfather. So that's the way to start. Thank you for asking. Good luck to you.
Hello. I was going to ask, my name is Wesley, by the way.
Okay.
In a theoretical scenario, if some very high-up TV executive came to you and told you that he was going to put together a 30-minute special with two of your characters from different shows, what two characters do you think would go together, and maybe a sample of what it might sound like?
Bless you. From your lips to God's checkbook. I love the fact that you're including me and some high-powered producer in my own show. Well, the quick answer would be I'd love to do a Pinky and the Brain show. I mean, God, if we had Maurice and me, people love to see Maurice and me. Me? Yes, me, not I in this regard. It would be love to see the two of us do Pinky and the Brain together, because there's something just really cool. I am so sorry. I hope that's my wife texting me. I just need to tell her that I've got far more important people. It's live though. God, I don't know. I think I would really like. I would like to do. You know, there's something about Carl Weezer too that people just really love Carl. It's just so, yeah, even Yakko is clapping. Look at that. Yakko is clapping to Carl. Hello, nerds. So, I don't know, it might be kind of fun to have a Yakko and Carl show, because Yakko is kind of a smart ass and, you know, hey, Carl, you know, don't let the door hit you when the good Lord splits you. Carl's going, I don't get it. Yeah, you don't get a lot either. I bet you don't get chicks either, do you? Well, I get baby chickens, you know. Well, that's not what I'm talking about. Yeah, but Yakko, I get a lot of phone numbers, so there's that. I know, that's disturbing. Carl gets phone numbers from baby chickens. That's as close to a girlfriend as I'm gonna get.
I think that might be kind of a cool idea. So if you know any high-powered, wealthy producers,
and you know, you've got Jack Nicholson glasses, so you probably could pull it off. Thank you very much. It's a great question. Thank you. Hi, sweetie.
Hi, I'm Stephanie, and I wanted to say I enjoyed the discussions on your podcast.
Thank you.
And I was wondering if you had any future plans for going forward with the podcast.
Check this out. Maybe some of you may know this, but for those of you who don't, I do an audio podcast and have for the last 5 years called Talkin' Tunes, right? This is on, thank you, which is on iTunes. But in April of this year, I was approached, Chris Hardwick, who created Nerdist, is a good friend of mine. I love that man. He and I did a show together called Back at the Barnyard, which was a blast. That's another one of those shows. It didn't get the PR, but it was a freaking gas to do. So anyway, Chris has been on my podcast, and I've been on his. And his people called and said, hey, would you like to do Talkin' Tunes as an on-camera show? So Talkin' Tunes, we've just done our 12th one. It is now available to watch. They shoot it with 4 cameras. It's beautiful, a beautiful set. We shoot it in Burbank every Tuesday. And if you want to take a look at it, you can check it out either via Nerdist online or go to Project Alpha, which is a new online offering from Nerdist and Geek and Sundry. So my show is still called Talkin' Tunes, and I have one guest every week. We started with Maurice,
And we did Pinky and the Brain.
and then the last one we did was last Tuesday with Andrea Romano, who just announced her retirement, and I've known her forever. But in the meantime, and the next one we're doing is D. Bradley Baker next Tuesday. Jim Cummings, John DiMaggio, Nancy Cartwright was on. She was just released yesterday. The new one comes out every Friday. So Nancy's is out, but we had Kevin Conroy on with Paul Dini and Alan Burnett to do a Batman one. I had Randy Rogel. We did an hour of Animaniacs songs. I did Tara Strong. So anyway, if any of you guys please check it out. And for those of you who want to follow me, if you don't, on Twitter, I'm at YakoPinky, all lowercase, one word. I'm Rob_Paulsen on Instagram. But check out Talkin' Tunes, because I'm telling you what, if you dig what I do, then you're going to hear from all the people whom you've ever wanted to hear from. And it's a blast. It's off the cuff. It's exactly what we're doing now. It's unscripted. And then they throw us a script, so with our respective characters, we will do a scene like Billy West was on, and he did a great scene, the scene from Doc Brown and Marty McFly from Back to the Future, and Billy did both characters as Philip J. Fry and Zoidberg. So it's incredibly entertaining. And check it out, Talkin' Tunes on Project Alpha, and if you go to Nerdist, you'll find it too, but you'll find your way there. So check it out, it's really good stuff. Thank you for asking, appreciate it. And Princess Leia, Mark Hamill has been on my podcast twice, and he'll be on again too, yeah.
That's super cool.
Oh, it is, he's a great guy.
I really enjoyed the Disney Afternoon programming block.
Oh,
back
yeah.
in the late 80s and early 90s.
I know, I did pretty much every one of them.
Yeah. So what was it like to work on Gummy Bears?
It was great. I think Gummy Bears was my first one. I was Gusto Gummy. And it was pretty much my voice, kind of a lot of energy. But I got to work with June Foray, who just passed away at 99. Wow. She also was on my podcast 4 years ago. So I got to work with June Foray, who was a hero to me because I loved Rocky and Bullwinkle, right? And everything else she did. She was old enough to be my grandmother. Crazy. And so I got to work with her, Corey Burton, gosh, so many great, incredible, Lorenzo Music was on that show. He was one of the Gummy Bears. You know, he's a Garfield the cat, and that's how he spoke in real life. It's crazy. So it was a huge thrill, and from that I got to work on Darkwing Duck. I was Steel Beak on that show. And I got to, then we did a show called Goof Troop. Yeah. And it was Dana Hill and myself. Dana passed away, unfortunately. Myself, Jim Cummings played my father. Nancy Cartwright, who's Bart, played my sister. And then we did the Goofy movies, and those were very successful. So, yeah, that whole Disney afternoon was a big deal for me. I got to work on Chip and Dale and DuckTales with Reese Taylor, who did Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and Alan Young, who ultimately passed away, but that was Scrooge McDuck. Are you kidding me? I am the luckiest human that's ever drawn a breath. And when I think back on my career, and I do it every now and then because I'm 61 now, but I've been working steadily in cartoons since I was, oh gosh, probably 28. First ones I did were G.I. Joe and Transformers. And I am a very lucky guy. And to be able to still do the work and go to work every day, but be young, be old enough to enjoy this, because you guys have, some of you have grown up, you know, but young enough to come out and fly around the world and enjoy this, and still be able to do my gig every day. Oh my God, I'm in the sweetest spot you could ever wish for. So, thank you for asking. You're welcome. Hey, dude.
Hello.
You're a big fella, ain't you?
Yes. I have two questions. My first question is, are you pondering what I'm pondering?
What's your name?
Chris.
I think so, Chris, but if Jimmy cracks cone and nobody cares, why does he keep doing it?
I came up with one the other day, and somebody asked me, can you come up with a new one? And I said, give me a couple of seconds. So I said, let's see.
I think so, Brain, but if Betty's white and Clint's black, is Marvin gay? I think so, Brain, but if Anne B. Davis and Susan B. Anthony, who be Arthur?
So I hope they bring us back, because I got a couple of new ones. Yeah. Thank you, pal.
My second question is, not to bring up bad memories, but was there ever a role that you either turned down or auditioned for and didn't get that you really regret?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was between me and Billy West for Philip J. Fry. And I wish that I'd gotten it, but they made the right choice. Unequivocally, I was not the best guy for the job, Billy was. And the proof is in the pudding. You guys, Billy does a lot of stuff, as you know. Billy's been on my podcast a couple times as well. So that certainly is one I wish I'd gotten, but if I'm honest, I know for sure that they made the right choice. And Billy is one of my dearest friends, so, that's the way it goes. But the shows that we've been talking about, with just me, I mean, this is an embarrassment of riches. A lot of actors would be thrilled to be one Ninja Turtle. I get to be two. One Animaniac. I get to be Yakko and Pinky. Are you kidding me? I got nothing to complain about. There are, let's see. That's the biggest one. It's not a regret. I missed it by that much, that one. But it was not a regret. Certainly, I auditioned for more jobs than I get, and I've done 2,500 half hours of animation plus, which means I probably auditioned for 5,000 that I didn't get. But that's the nature of being an actor. But no regrets, because as I said earlier, nobody in my life said you have to be an actor. So if you ever see me somewhere feeling sorry for myself, I want you to smack me. Nothing to feel sorry for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, so I'm a musician, and as a musician, I love a lot of the songs on Animaniacs.
Oh my God, how great are those songs? And they hold up beautifully.
Even today,
yeah,
some of them are so great.
Yeah, we had the best players too. We had a 45-piece orchestra for every half hour. And the only guy that gets that done in Hollywood is Mr. Spielberg. And he did it because he was influenced by Looney Tunes, and that's the way they all were done years ago. We even used the same piano that Carl Stalling used in Looney Tunes.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that helps answer another mini question, was his level of involvement.
Oh, huge. Yeah, Mr. Spielberg cast all of it. He had the final say on all the casting and was involved in pretty much every script. He was not at every recording session because, he makes movies. But I'll tell you, he is a profoundly delightful man.
I wanted to know if you could speak on some of the difficulties in getting those songs recorded the right way. Because The Sun is a Mass and some of those other songs that happen on the show, they're so fast-paced with the way the lyrics come out.
Well, what do you play?
I play drums.
Okay. Well, then you're a great guy to talk to, because the percussionist on the show was a guy named Mike. And I remember it, set up everything, vibes, drums, xylophone, you name it, right? But what was great is that all the songs, like Yakko's World, was done to a piano track. And by the way, I'm good at my job, but the magic is the song. I'm not a songwriter, okay? Randy Rogel, who wrote Yakko's World, Wacko's America, all those other great songs,
It's a great big universe, and we're all really puny. We're just tiny little specks about the size of Mickey Rooney.
Right? And the original ending of that song was,
it's a great big universe, and everyone's a part of it, and no one knows just where's the understart of it. We all live here together. It's our home forever. It's a small world after.
And Stephen put the kibosh on that right away. We can't do that. But the point is, that Randy is a first-class songwriter. He wrote song after song after song. But we're all done. We do it to a click track and a piano. So I sing the whole song. We sing all the harmonies. Then the musicians are added later. So the scoring sessions are with a big screen and the conductor and 40 pieces. And so when Yakko climbs up the water tower, the percussionist is watching going, It's fantastic. Or if they do a close-up and they cut the brain and he raises an eyebrow, you know, a violin guy goes, oh my God. And that's all written. It's all in the music. Phenomenal. So the answer to the question is that it was difficult to the extent that you had a lot of, 32nd and 64th notes. For, like we did an episode where called King Yakko, where we did, I'm the cousin to the mother of the son, sister's brother of the blah, 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 blah. And my grandfather's only daughter was a king-daughter sibling. But they're all gone, and that is why I am now your king. I am now your king. Repeat what I just said. Repeat what I just said. And let the anvil ring. So the percussionist played an anvil, and then he's going, Old King Yakko's mania, West from Anvil, so he's going all over the joint. And that's a credit to the player, but it was also written that way. Richard Stone scored every note. So you would look at that and go, oh my God. But the cool thing is that those guys get that, you read music too?
Oh no.
See, I read music, and we had killer players. So they're session guys, man. They walk in, fiddle players, drummers, they walk in and they get the music when they walk in. And so Richard Stone says, okay, take a look at it, and does a couple of things. Are you ready to go? And of course, the thing's on the screen, it goes beep, 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 and then the downbeat. And they're reading this music as they're playing it. These cats are out of their minds. And then they get in their car and they go home, but they're world-class players. And then at night they go play at the Hollywood Bowl Symphony or the LA Symphony. They're really full-time professional musicians. An oboist, that's all he does, is play oboe. One day he'll be playing on Friends, on the themes, on whatever the music cuts are that. Next day he's doing a commercial. Next day he's on Animaniacs. Next day he's on SpongeBob. It's pretty amazing. So I could talk about it forever, because the thing that blew my mind is, and I went to a lot of scoring sessions because I just appreciate their talent, and they would all be blown away that Yakko is there. I'm going, oh, dude, please. You pull out your fiddle and you're playing 30-second notes, watching it as you play. I just talk. But there is a deep mutual admiration for the level of professionalism, and all this excitement and that you see from me is not contrived. It is real. I know how good those people are, and I really hope, as a player, that you get a chance someday to go to a scoring session, not to blow your mind, but to inspire you. Because when you see people at the highest level play, and same with me, I'm good at my job, but when I go see people perform at a much higher level, it inspires me. I want to do that. And it never stops. It never stops, which is the beauty of being a performer, because you're always learning. And I love being inspired by people who've been around, but I also love meeting new folks that come into town and blow my mind. There's a kid named Eric Bauza, who's a new actor in LA, fairly new in the voice acting thing. You're going to hear a lot from this kid. He is the real deal, and he's from Toronto. And the first time I met him, I just thought, I want this kid dead. I want his family dead. I want his house burnt to the ground. But it's inspiring to see the new people too. There's plenty of room for everybody in the giant showbiz sandbox. Good luck on your gig, my friend. I love your hair. It's natural too. Yeah, cool. You look like a rock and roll drummer. Nice. Hi, handsome. You knew exactly who I was talking to, didn't you? When I said handsome.
Yes, I don't know.
Yes, you don't know. That's the right
So
answer.
I only have one question, which is, what could possibly go wrong?
Oh, you're a Bubsy fan. Good for you. You are clearly about the youngest Bubsy fan, because you know what? When we did that show initially, many years ago, you were, well, not around, but probably not even a twinkle in your mom and dad's eyeballs. I was a talking bobcat in a video game called Bubsy the Bobcat. And I did the thing, and it went on its way, and apparently it's enjoyed some sort of resurgence online. So thank you very much for remembering Bubsy the Bobcat, my friend.
They just announced a new game a couple months ago.
Oh, is that right? But they clearly didn't call me, those idiots.
Thank you, my friend. That's very nice of you.
That was awesome.
Hi.
Hi, Mr. Paulsen.
God, you got it. I want your hair.
I appreciate
Great
it.
head of hair. You look like Elvis, brother. That's cool.
I know. Well, you know, Elvis, before Elvis, there was nothing.
Right.
That's true.
You're right.
Yeah.
And there still isn't in Graceland. Apparently, he's 10,000. Was it 10% of the people in the world still think he's alive?
Right. Yeah. He's probably still alive in the shag carpet somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah, baby.
So, I mean, it's an honor to speak to you. Just
My
want to
pleasure.
say, I mean,
Thank you.
when I look at the credits of everything you've been in, it's like I'm just looking at the list of everything I've ever watched.
Thank you.
So
Very sweet.
But the first thing that really just absolutely blew my mind, voice acting and singing wise, when I was a kid, was Yakko's World.
Yeah.
I mean, that I tried to wrap my mind around it, tried to memorize it, failed. I just want to say thank you for educating me in some way, like Looney Tunes did. You're having a
Thank
song
you.
that's kind of educational. And I guess my other thing would be just to say, could you sing like at least a little bit of it?
Well, I'll tell you
for us?
what.
I see
How much
it
time
like-
do we have? We still got. What do we? Okay, I will. I will do the whole thing at the end of the show.
Awesome!
But again, the magic of that thing, and trust me, I probably sung it 100 times, or kind of 101 times in a cappella in person. And people ask, "Do you ever get tired of it?" Absolutely not. The problem is when people stop asking. That's when you got a problem. And again, it's not false modesty. I'm good at my job. But Randy Rogel. And for those of you who are musicians and songwriters, here's a little tidbit I love to tell about Randy. The level of talent and the level of unknown talent that ultimately is hopefully discovered is so astounding to me. Randy Rogel was writing on Batman, the animated series, and won an Emmy for his writing on Batman. Then he heard about this new show coming out called Animaniacs. And so he banged on the door of Tom Ruger, the producer, and said, "I want to write for the show." But no, you write drama. You just won an Emmy, and it's Batman. It's a big deal. We're glad to have you. You're going to get a raise. Keep writing. So he said, no, my background is musical theater. When you get home, Google Randy Rogel Singing in the Rain. Have you guys ever seen Singing in the Rain? Right. Randy Rogel played the Cosmo Brown part, the Donald O'Connor part on stage. And he does the flipping over backwards and everything. So Google Randy Rogel, it'll blow your mind. So Randy said, no, I'm a musical theater guy. I can write music. And I know Animaniacs is going to be a lot of... And they kept saying, no. Finally, they said, all right, have you got a song? And his audition piece was Yakko's World.
Wow.
That's what he had in his back pocket. So, like I was saying to my drummer friend, it'll either make you want to go work at Taco Bell, or it'll inspire you. Because at a young age, that's what he had to convince them that they should hire him. So they did. He did Yakko's World and the States and the Capitals and Yakko's Universe and Wackos. And he's created all that stuff and continues to write. And now he and I travel around the country doing Animaniacs music live together. We have a ball. So anyway, yes, I will sing the song. And what's your question, ma'am?
Oh, sorry. Hi. About 7 years ago, I went on a date with a guy.
Well, that's generally the way it works.
Yeah.
Good.
And we came to a consensus that our favorite show growing up was Animaniacs.
Good.
And I found out that he still has Animaniacs DVDs and still watches them.
Did you marry him? Yeah!
Yeah!
How about that?
We just celebrated our 5th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations, sweetie.
The song and the thing that we quote the most is the Lake Titicaca song.
Isn't that great? Tom Ruger wrote that. The producer of the show wrote, the creator.
Would you sing it for us?
Sure. It goes like this for those who don't know. It goes, Lake Titicaca, oh Lake Titicaca, it's between Bolivia and Peru. Lake Titicaca, oh Lake Titicaca, with water tranquil and blue. Lake Titicaca, oh Lake Titicaca, why do we sing of its fame? Lake Titicaca, oh Lake Titicaca, 'cause we really like saying its name. Titicaca! Thank you. What a charming story. guys will get a kick out of this. When Mo and I were here last time at Dragon Con, there was a young fellow who came up and he said, he loved Pinky the Brain. He said, I'm going to propose to my girlfriend here, and I would love it if you, he'd written a script. I want Pinky and the Brain to, when I bring my girlfriend in front of you, I'm going to get down on my knee, and I want you to say this script, perform this script, and then defer to me, and I will ask her if she'll marry me, okay? So it's just so sweet. So the guy said, you know, he gave, I think it was $20 or something, and so he gave us the thing, and when we got done, I said, well, I brought the girl over. She said yes, it was very sweet. And I said, wait, Mo and I said, we can't take your money. My God, this is so, here's, you know, so I, being the smart ass I am, I said, as Yakko, I said, no, you better take the money back because you might need it for the divorce. Get out of the money. And so, you know, Maurice looked at me like, oh, but I said, well, it's Yakko, I'm a smart ass, that's what I do. And I'm so glad you guys, and you must have thought, oh my God, if this man and this woman love Animaniacs, I have found Mr. Right or Mrs. Right. Good for you guys. Congratulations. Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
Hello. As an aspiring actor, your work is obviously in cartoons and all this, but you've also done a lot of a little more serious roles, like Gray Fox from Metal Gear.
Yeah, that's my kid's favorite job I ever did. He
Right.
loves, because he's a big gamer, and he came on one day and he freaked out, and I didn't know what he was talking about. He said, Dad, why didn't you tell me you were in Metal Gear? And I said, I don't even remember that I did that. You know? I said, no, you're a cyborg ninja. And so it's a big deal, apparently, but thank you.
What advice can you give to other actors on increasing our range of different voices or different, just making us more flexible?
Well, I know it sounds hackneyed, and I'm not trying to give you a pat answer, but it's really about trying stuff and pushing the envelope. And I got to say, I got a great compliment the other day from who was on my show, Phil Lamar, who is just a really talented fellow. And he gave me such a lovely compliment in that vein. He said, Robbie, I've known you for 25 years, and you know, you're usually the funny guy and music and all that stuff. But he said, I heard you on Rick and Morty as Snowball. And I knew I'd found a home because the first lines I had on Rick and Morty were, where are my testicles, son? and Phil said the same thing to you. He said, my God, you did that when, you know, recently. And he said, I love hearing you do something that is not, hey, Dad, or hello, or, you know, lots of funny voices and stuff. He said that was, you know, this really understated thing. And it's so great to hear that from somebody from whom I thought I've heard it all. So it never stops. And the only thing I can tell you is to push yourself. And I can also, here's a great example. I keep rambling, but I can't help it. I might go a little bit over. I did a show, I did maybe 8-10 episodes of a really interesting show by Aaron Magruder called The Boondocks, based on a comic strip. And here's a great example of pushing through what you feel emotionally or physically is limiting. Now, I was hired by Mr. Magruder, who's an African American. I was hired by him to be just this racist, disgusting redneck, pardon me.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm in the session, Andrea Romano's directing it, and here's Aaron, and his whole production staff are African Americans. I mean, that's their vibe. It's what they, you know, they know what they're talking about. And they hired me, and I'd worked with them before. So my first lines are screaming the N-word at the top of my lungs. Now, my son is married to a beautiful woman from Nigeria. I grew up in Detroit during the 1967 riots, and I have many friends who are African-American black folks, right? But my job and what I was hired for was to scream this obnoxious script at the top of my lungs. I had real trouble with it. And Aaron was going, you're not getting it. You're not getting it. I mean, I need you to go for it. Finally, I said, look, I got to tell you, this is very uncomfortable with me. And his response was, so? And I did it, and I got through it. But it was a great lesson, because I did this job when I was probably 58, 57. So the sensibilities of Rob Paulsen, the human, were that that's a very uncomfortable place for me to go. I'm not cut from that cloth. My family, my in-laws are African, from Nigeria, right? But long before that, it's not the cloth from which I'm cut. But the professional side of me, and the guy who's paying the rent, says, I don't give a shit about that. Either you do the job or I'll get somebody who can. And I did it. I got it figured out. And he was happy with it. But the point I'm making for an aspiring actor is that you make sometimes some really great leaps creatively when you go beyond what is comfortable to you personally. And so that doesn't mean you go running down the middle of Peachtree screaming the N-word. But you will rightfully get your, yeah, you should. But in terms of creativity, there are areas that you have to push beyond. And I'm so grateful because I have practical experience that I can relate. So good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I know we got to wrap this up, right? All right. So I'm going to give you guys, go ahead and fire up your cameras. And I'm going to sing the following for you, and then I have a little treat for you right after that. Okay, so here we go. First of all, let me say, I am so proud to be a member of your tribe. It is a huge joy for me to not only be here sharing my stuff with you, but I know who butters my bread, and I am beyond grateful that you folks take your time to come out and say hello. And I can speak on behalf of all the actors who do what I do, categorically, that we really appreciate that you paid attention to us, and now we have sometimes 2 and 3 generations of people who've listened to our work and watched our work, and I don't even know how to tell you how much that means to us. So thank you in advance. And as we say in our little podcast, laughter is the best medicine, and the cool thing is you can't OD and the refills are free. So laugh loud and long and hard and laugh from your soul. And here we go. There's a little song, and it goes like this. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador, too, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still Guatemala, Bolivia, then Argentina, and Ecuador, Chile, Brazil, Costa Rica, Belize, Nicaragua, Bermuda, Bahamas, Tobago, San Juan, Paraguay, Uruguay, Suriname, and French Guiana, Barbados, and Guam, Norway, and Sweden, and Iceland, and Finland, and Germany now on peace, Switzerland, Austria, Czechoslovakia, Italy, Turkey, and Greece, Poland, Romania, Scotland, Albania, Ireland, Russia, Oman, Bulgaria, Saudi Arabia, Hungary, Cyprus, Iraq, and Iran. There's Syria, Lebanon, Israel, Jordan, both Yemen's, Kuwait, and Bahrain. The Netherlands, Luxembourg, Belgium, and Portugal, France, England, Denmark, and Spain. India, Pakistan, Burma, Afghanistan, Thailand, Nepal, and Bhutan. Cambodia, Malaysia, then Bangladesh, Asia, and China, Korea, Japan. Mongolia, Laos, and Tibet, Indonesia, the Philippine Islands, Taiwan. Sri Lanka, New Guinea, Sumatra, New Zealand, and Borneo, and Vietnam, Tunisia, Morocco, Uganda, Angola, Zimbabwe, Djibouti, Botswana, Mozambique, Zambia, Swaziland, Gambia, Guinea, Algeria, Ghana, Burundi, Lesotho, and Malawi, Togo. The Spanish Sahara is gone. Niger, Nigeria, Chad, and Liberia, Egypt, Benin, Gabon, Tanzania, Somalia, Kenya, and Mali, Sierra Leone, and Algeria. Dahomey, Namibia, Senegal, Libya, Cameroon, Congo, Zaire, Ethiopia, Guinea-Bissau, Madagascar, Rwanda, Myanmar, Cayman, Hong Kong, Abu Dhabi, Qatar, Yugoslavia, Kuwait, Mauritania, then Pennsylvania, Monaco, Liechtenstein, Malta, and Palestine, Fiji, Australia, Sudan. Woo! Thank you. Now, just because I love y'all, and just because Randy Rogal's talent knows no limits, people come up to us all the time and used to say, hey, Mr. Paulsen, you know, there are a bunch of new countries. And I say, come here. No, come here. So, Randy, when he had an extra 5 minutes, wrote the following. These are the countries that have sprung up since that song was written. So it goes like this. Montenegro and Bosnia-Herzegovina, the Soviet Union is gone. South Africa, Georgia, Moldova, Latvia, Belarus, Azerbaijan. Uzbekistan, hey! Kazakhstan, hey! Then there's Tajikistan too. Turkmenistan, hey! Dagestan, Armenia, Tonga, Palau, Lithuania, Serbia, Kosovo, US, Samoa, the Balkans, Brunei, Macau and Crimea, then Eritrea, Ukraine and Estonia, here's Macedonia, New Caledonia, Eastern Slavonia, Ivory Coast and Cape Verde, and all the Solomon Islands, Dubai. Goodbye. Thanks a lot, you guys.